This is episode 382 of GI Joburg, the Mauler Brawl. My name is Steve. We're joined by Paul on the one side.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Steve. And Rob.
Oh, it's me below. I'm below, guys. Hey.
There we go.
All hell is
Madness.
GI Joburg headquarters today. This episode fits in with our usual structure of doing a vehicle or figure focus in the even numbers of the podcast, but
didn't want to do just one.
The Mauler.
We're doing it with a twist.
We are doing it with a twist. Yes, someone insisted that we have a little wrinkle to our regular Mauler review, so we're not doing a regular Mauler review at all. Instead, we're going to take the OG tank, the MOBAT. We're going to take the upgrade, the Mauler, and we're going to take the what the fuck 90s moment, the Brawler, and pit them together in an epic tank battle. Yes, we curated a list of the purest tanks the GI Joe Classic era line had to offer. I mean, a lot of armored vehicles fell off the list as a result. Notable mentions, guys?
Tanks.
What's that one called? The plunger? What's it called? I think I'm thinking of the pulverizer.
The pulverizer. Yes, of course. We couldn't do a list show without mentioning the pulverizer. Yes, the pulverizer was, I suppose, included at one point. We had the Raider
and Fort America.
The Havoc, Fort America. All of which kind of fell short of the strict definition of a tank. I mean, we were going to go broad. The Havoc was even in contention, but then we decided, nah, let's narrow the focus. Let's give these three vehicles their due, their time in the sun, because God knows, I don't think we would ever otherwise talk about the Brawler.
This is true.
Why are you so mean to the Brawler? It's just a little vehicle, guys.
Yeah, we're not trying to be like everybody else. Yeah, we're not just hating on it or something.
Anything post 94 does not make for consideration. Otherwise, yeah, we would be talking about the Patriot Grizzly, which is a pretty epic looking tank. But none of us have had hands-on play with it, whereas we have had hands-on play with at least two of the entries on this list. So let's do it, boy. To make it fair, we're going to enter our scores onto a table.
Yes, into this wonderful table.
Of absolutely no use to the listeners who aren't getting the visuals, but you'll just have to take our word for it when we tally it all up. We
will describe the numbers.
Yes, we will say them out loud. The categories are speed, firepower, range, survivability,
I can't hold it.
Advanced systems, which is kind of in-universe interesting stuff that we want to pull out and add a score to. And then special features, which is out-of-universe play feature stuff that we want to add a score to. I guess the Brawler might really pull ahead there. Maybe. I don't know. It's not motorized. Box art, which was Paul's insistence. Thank you, Mr. Artman. And then the very nebulous final category of Fun.
And also helping us with this is, of course, 3D Joes and their amazing website. They're going to help us look at these awesome pictures of some of these.
100%.
And of course, there's the pretty much dead yojo.com, but it's there still. But yeah, we just always like to take an opportunity to shout out 3D Joes.
Well, guys, if you want a replacement for yojo.com in this episode specifically, and if you want to crunch the numbers using it, I offer up into evidence the Impel trading card set from 1991. Perhaps this is the fairest way of statting these tanks, because as we've discovered on the show before, if it's the TAC you're looking at from the Battle Action Force comics, or if it's the Order of Battle from Marvel US, or if it's the later Devil's Due stuff, or whatever, sources differ on the stats.
Yeah, it's all over the place. I mean, the blueprints themselves, and then also some of them didn't get featured in a lot of places. Thankfully, I mean, even the Brawler did get a dossier in the comics in one of the issues.
Yeah.
Know which one? But it's in there.
124, somewhere there.
Ooh.
That seems to ring a bell. Anyway, I find these Impel cards can get a little bit carried away sometimes. The numbers aren't always that accurate, but I have checked. And in this case, we can knock out those first few categories using these bad boys.
Fascinating.
So, let's take a look at the MOBAT.
Ooh.
It has an armament of a 90mm anti-tank cannon with 105 rounds, 50 caliber machine guns. Special equipment, Halon fire suppression system. That's nice. Dual action hydraulic shock absorbers. Its power plant is a modified 6-cylinder engine. Maximum speed, and this is the important one for, I think, the first category. 44 miles per hour.
Ooh.
And that, I suppose, on-road speed, 34 miles per hour cross-country.
That's crazy.
So
what does that mean for us?
What does that mean for us?
Mean anything for us?
Let's flip over to the Mauler. Its maximum speed, 65 miles per hour on road. So that's 20 miles better than the MOBAT. And 37 miles cross country, which is a mere 3 miles per hour faster than the Mauler, than the MOBAT. Then the Brawler has 50 miles per hour speed cross country. So that is fast.
Cross country. Brick.
But then it's got just to show off, like I suppose it's like top speed. If you didn't load this thing, it has minimum armament and a 2-man crew. You can do 90 miles per hour.
In a Mauler.
I don't think I can do that in my car.
In a Brawler.
In a Brawler.
Yeah. Wow, they were really pushing the limits.
I guess the way that number would shake out in our ranking terms, I would give the MOBAT a 4, the Mauler a 5, and the Brawler 7. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, I think so. 4, 5, 7 makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, we could push them all up, sort of bell curve it. Give the Brawler 10, and then work down.
Ooh, isn't that? No, I think 4, 5, 7. It sounds fair. Okay, so we want.
Doesn't that mean that the Brawler is faster than the his tank?
Yes.
Okay, so I think how this works. Then
I don't see that. Like,
I have the hiss card right here, and the hiss can do. Maybe that's a good control group. The non-tank hiss tank. Oh gosh, maximum speed is 45 miles per hour, and it doesn't specify whether that's off-road or on-road. So let's call that off-road, and that would make it slower than the Brawler. Yeah. The Brawler can do 50 miles per hour on an off-road condition.
It really is a hero vehicle. Like things were getting extreme in the 90s.
Maybe we're not doing ourselves a service by having this guy, this Johnny come lately. Of course, his stats are going to be like off the charts.
I mean, it's balanced out by other things that are more esoteric, or more like
What are you talking about? You can't beat the Brawler on fun. It's so hollow you can wear it as a hat. Oh god, we'll get into that.
Shots fired early. Yeah,
man.
So the next step we have firepower.
Yes. And to that end, I already got us started with the Mauler. I didn't really continue, but just to reiterate, the MOBAT. The MOBAT has its anti-tank cannon, which has 105 rounds. That's important, I guess. If you've got a smaller gun, chances are you can carry more ammunition. And it does. 105 rounds is a pretty massive complement of rounds.
That's impressive.
The gun itself, 90 millimeters.
Okay.
And then it has a 50 cal mounted in that turret ring. So that's it. 2 weapons. But that's typical for a tank armament. There's nothing wrong with that. The Mauler, you start getting into the sort of smoke turrets, but I don't know if you can count those as weapons. In any case, the gun is bigger, 105 millimeters, but has fewer rounds at 75 rounds.
Hmm.
And there isn't any mention on the card anyway of like a coaxial machine gun, but I've always assumed there was something in there.
Oh, on the Mauler.
Mauler.
What do you guys think?
Well, yeah, like you look at pictures of it. I mean, you really only ever like you see the kind of like little smoke dispensers maybe on the turret. There's obviously the main cannon itself. That's kind of all I ever assumed it came.
Yeah, it's
with.
kind of a blunt instrument. It's just like a big gun, and that's it.
I never played it to have a coaxial gun until the Armor 3 mod that Scott G made, where you've got the Mauler, you're driving around, and you have 2 firing modes. You can go with the main gun, or basically zeroed on the main gun's turret direction. You've got a coaxial machine gun, probably 50 cal. I don't think it was as high as like a 20 millimeter gun or something like that. But it was just useful to like fire traces in the direction that you're going to eventually fire a big boy shell.
And
Anyway,
also to protect the tank from mid-range infantry, I suppose.
What do you guys think of giving the MOBAT a score of about, I don't know, 6, and the Mauler a score of 7 or 8?
Yeah, I think that works. I feel like there's a bit of a wild card to throw in this that's not really easy for us to see as a stat, but it's target acquisition and its sort of speed in terms of its firepower. So what its fire rate.
We'll get into it, I guess, but I think the MOBAT has the Mauler actually has a holographic projection system to give you 360-degree battlefield awareness. We'll get into
that's
that
pretty impressive.
Because I do feel like that does kind of speak to the firepower as well.
So we're thinking 6 for MOBAT, 8 for Mauler.
Yeah, that extra 15 millimeter of shell makes a difference, though. Does the MOBAT's additional ammunition level the playing field a bit?
It means it can fire for much longer than the other one can, and also it's kind of able to protect itself a little bit better than the Mauler does, firepower wise. Although I suppose that's more to do with survivability.
Those are designed to protect the Mauler.
Protect itself. Yeah. So
Look,
that's more to do with survivability. But firepower wise, yes, the Mauler feels like it can penetrate more. It can do
my understanding
damage.
With tank warfare is you want to be able to neutralize your opponent definitively and quickly. And a bigger gun will do that more effectively than a smaller gun, where it might glance off the armor, it might not penetrate, it might not deliver the killing blow. So, let's give the Mauler. Look, we don't have to negotiate this amongst ourselves. If you feel like the Mauler should surge ahead, give it a higher score. We each have individual scores here.
I think for me, I'm quite big on the Mauler having strong firepower, like an 8 or a 9. It's a big gun. It's basically a gun with creds.
What you're saying makes sense. Like its firepower is better than the MOBAT in that it'll if it hits something, it's going to take it out much faster. So I think that does make sense. Yeah.
Maybe we'll moderate everything when we enter our third contestant into the ring. The Brawler also has a 155 millimeter gun.
Yeah.
But that's not all. Well, it's got a machine gun.
Kids.
It does have a coaxial, I think 50 cal on the turret. It has these sort of flanking quad guns. I'm not entirely sure what their value is because
it's definitely bigger than 50 cal. Looking at the breach on those things, gee.
Yeah, I'd say that 20 or 30 millimeter or greater.
Well, if you want to go by the blueprints, they are dual electro-fired CNM 44 machine guns. I'm going to assume the 44 means 44 cal, or what do we want to assume that means?
They just look bigger. They look like
They just
cannon.
look bigger.
Or
They
44
kinda do,
millimeter.
actually.
Let's see.
Or
Like a
44
one-
But
millimeter.
that's not all. It
It's
has
such a
two
weird sizing. Yeah.
anti-aircraft missiles.
Yes.
Are we agreed that they are anti-aircraft missiles in an elevating housing?
I would
Do they
definitely-
elevate though? Oh yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Surface to air missiles and titanium encased launchers.
So I feel kind of comfortable, at least in this metric, giving the Brawler a 10 for firepower.
Yes, because it's knocking stuff out with the main cannon, which means it's good at anti-tank. It's good at infantry. I mean, 4 machine guns, and
5.
if an aircraft decides 5, my goodness, and if an aircraft decides to come after this thing, it can protect itself there too. It definitely has, yeah. I mean, that's an incredible firepower.
It allegedly has 12 grenades.
That's probably from the little grenade launchers, because I think
Yeah, but I only
it's
see
the
6.
Mauler. Well, maybe.
Oh no,
maybe
there's the
they-
other 6. Okay, I see them now.
Yes.
There.
You count the other side. All right, guys. I think we can move on from firepower. MOBAT gets an aggregated score of 6. The
Yeah.
Mauler 8, and then the Brawler 10. My goodness.
We're being
I feel
fair.
like the gulf should be even wider between the Mauler and the Brawler. But
Yeah,
I think
although
traditionally, like the
are we
Mauler
going
is,
over these again when we do this? Like, are we?
Oh.
Is this our first pass? Or is this
We-
definitive?
this is it.
This is
Okay,
this
because
is it.
then I
Do you
then
feel?
I argue.
I mean, personally, do you have a better like? Do you feel maybe one of the? Because I mean, we're
Like-
just giving this across the board currently, but do you feel stronger or less strong about one of them?
I kind of feel like, okay, so this is my thinking with the Brawler. It's like, yes, it's got all the guns, but where does it keep all of its ammo? Okay, I mean,
Mhm.
it's like, never mind the toy being hollow. It's just about, if you look at the hull, you're like, where's it supposed to keep all of this ammo? I know we're going to talk about crew and stuff like that just now.
Mhm.
I also feel like, yes, cool, it's got a big gun, but how effective is it at firing that? Because you got a Mauler that can sort of resolve its concussion when it shoots. I don't think the Brawler can adequately resolve its concussion from shooting with its main gun. Then you've got the problem of if it's being attacked from the air and the ground at the same time. Okay, yeah, fine. It's got the tools to deal with that, but then it blocks the turret's movement left and right because you've got this missile launching system that
Well, I
raises.
think the mechanics of this vehicle might fall under fun. Like the Brawler's got some problems.
No, totally. Totally, but that's my thing. That's why I feel like even before we get to that, I feel like that already impedes its firepower. Like
Okay,
I
so
feel like
stepping it
yes,
up.
yeah, I feel like realistically it should come down to about a 7. I also think like having
Wow.
such an because I don't like that gun is impressive, but that gun is not its main gun is not as impressive as the Mauler's is. Like I know that as things evolve and get
Stats
better.
wise, they're identical.
Yeah, but I don't believe it. Visually,
Well,
I don't
Paul,
believe
give
it.
us your numbers, man. I'm gonna stay with 6, 8, and 10.
I think that's fair for me.
But,
Yeah,
you can
for
go
me-
down if you want.
No, I want to bring the the Brawler's firepower down to like 7. I don't
gonna
think
give it a
it's as
7.
effective as it looks.
Okay, so you think it is more effective than the MOBAT, but less effective than the Mauler?
Yeah.
Okay,
All right. Does add an
fair
interesting
enough.
wrinkle to our scoring. I do
Sorry.
appreciate.
Yeah, I
No.
wanted to add some kind of wrinkle there as well.
Absolutely. So how far can these things go? Like, are we going to be able to launch this thing in Nebraska and get all the way to I don't know, Idaho? Those are on opposite sides of the states, I'm sure.
All right. So the maximum range of the MOBAT,
Oh, because
340 miles, fully
Ooh,
armed.
340.
The
That's nice.
the Mauler can do 110 miles more than that at 450 miles.
okay, I'm convinced. Yeah.
And
Brawler, 1,000
uh,
miles.
the Brawler's maximum range is 1,100 miles. It
I
can
was
drive
would do
1,000 more.
I was kidding.
And
Like-
I could drive 1,000 miles and I would
Like-
drive 1,000 more. Oh my god. Yeah,
So
that's
a
literally
10 for the Brawler. It's a 3 for the MOBAT and a 4 for the Mauler, I guess.
I feel like taking one more score off its firepower because now it's got all of this fuel in there too.
Well,
I'm like,
let me round up the MOBAT and the Mauler. It'll be a 4 for the MOBAT and a 5 for the Mauler. Would you guys?
yeah, which is actually pretty good for tank standards. Yeah,
Yeah, 4, 5. I
yeah,
think
I
that's
agree
fair.
with that too. Yeah,
4,
yeah.
5, and 10. Goodness me.
no, I think it's no. Again, I'm sorry, I'm coming in here and I'm like 4, 5, and 7 because I don't
Well,
believe it has the fuel complement to could do that. Again,
Well,
I want to be as objective here as I can be.
Oh,
The
for sure. But
numbers
the
don't
facts,
lie, baby.
numbers don't lie. They're right
Oh
there.
god, they've got numbers. Oh, no, I'm being beaten up. Yeah,
And
but
also-
those numbers, ridiculous.
I mean, it's like it's for I don't know, context. The distance between Los Angeles and New York is 2,800 miles, which means that the Brawler can essentially go halfway across the United States before it actually has to refuel. That is mind blowing.
And
That
it's got
is
that
mind-blowing.
light. It's got that light mode where it can go 90 miles per hour
Yeah.
on the road. Just take all the guns off and becomes a speed demon. Look, it was the 90s, guys. Everything's
Yeah.
The thing has
Okay.
a freaking spoiler, okay? Gotta keep
That's
that tank
just
down.
Yeah, that's just to reduce the drag, you know.
Okay, so yeah, I think from distance wise, it's just definitely killing it. But Paul, you feel like that's unrealistic. You're like,
I think it's unrealistic.
They're
I feel like
inflating
our
those
listeners
numbers.
would be so annoyed with us if we
They're
didn't
inflating those
like
numbers.
challenge that. Yeah.
All right, well,
Okay.
give it the lowest score then, sir. You are welcome to.
I also don't think that. I mean, just looking at this, even like from a, like I'm not like a tank specialist or anything, but just like I don't even think that those treads could handle that distance. I mean, like even if theoretically the tank could go that distance, you got all of this so-called, you know, ammunition, or it's got all these munitions. It's got
yes,
a whole bunch of
rockets.
stuff that's going to put a lot of strain on its build. I don't think it can actually really do that distance.
Do you
Like I
think
think it'll fall
maintenance-
apart.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's going to rattle the shit out of it. And then you also have to consider people have to sit in that thing
Mhm.
as well.
Well, these are also things that we will
Hmm.
adjust as we go along too. But you said
Yeah.
you want to go for a 7 for this.
Yeah, I'll
Like,
go for a
it's
7. I
impressive,
feel like
but
7 is
it's
yeah.
not that impressive. It's unrealistically impressive. Fair enough.
Somebody's got to come in there with this.
No, absolutely. So survivability. So I feel like the first two, I mean, you look at their profiles, like they actually look like real tanks. And if you've read the comic books, you'll know in issue 5 of GI Joe, the MOBAT is heavily featured. It's probably one of the most standout issues, you know, where they kind of they feature it at the start. You get a whole rundown. You get to see the interior of the MOBAT. When they kind of like landed up in a trap in some sort of parade, and they really show off like what it can do. And it is even able to go underwater, which I found really impressive at one point in the story. Like they
For a
actually
tank,
go
that's very
underwater
impressive.
and come straight out again on the other side. Well, by comparison, at least the one issue that I saw it in, Mauler was introduced in issue 44 of GI Joe, which is, I believe, also the issue that introduces the bats as an invention of Mindbender. Is that correct?
Dr. Brainwave.
Dr.
Brainwave
Brainwave, if I'm not
time.
mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the big toy intro episode. I think it was the first Ore Striker appearance, the Airtight, Bazooka, all
Yeah.
those boys debuting.
Yeah, we have briefly spoken about this issue before, I think, in relation to at least one of those. So it kind of like it's put through a whole test because Dr. Brainwave is testing the Joes against his new product, which is the bats, and kind of like how good they are at taking out the Joes.
The Spore sleeper bombs.
Yes, Yeah, and then they eventually turn the tables on Dr. Brainwave and Cobra. So I mean, you get to see the firepower in that. You get to kind of see it driving around a lot. It drives around a lot backwards. Or at least I found interesting is that the entire cannon is turned backwards for most of the issue. But it doesn't kind of show off its survivability though. But I think at least size-wise, I would definitely say of the two, it's actually difficult. I'm going back on myself now, but like the MOBAT is obviously able to hide a lot easier, I think, than maybe the other two, because it's probably the smallest of the three, despite being the slowest. Do we agree it's probably the smallest of the three? And I feel like the MOBAT, I mean, the Mauler is probably the longest.
I feel
but it feels like it's the most armored.
Yes,
because there's a lot less exposed like ports and hatches and whatever else on the Mauler. It feels like they both feel like real world traditional tanks, while you compare it to the Brawler, which feels like a very futuristic, kind of unrealistic tank in a way.
No, kind of. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I feel like the Mauler is got a lighter armor than the MOBAT, because that's what it helps with its speed. Obviously, it's got I think the Mauler and the MOBAT have a very similar drivetrain and engine. I think it's just that the Mauler has a lighter hull, and that's why it can get faster. That's kind of my feeling. And obviously, there are some other designs that accommodate the Mauler's speed, but I do feel I've always looked at the MOBAT and gone, that looks like a tougher tank. Like it can take more firepower. It also seems more versatile than a Mauler does. Whereas I feel like the Mauler is a bit more of a sensitive instrument compared to the MOBAT. Yeah, so I feel like whatever we give the MOBAT, we should -1 point and give that score to the Mauler, for example. So the MOBAT,
I think of
like
the three, for me, the MOBAT probably is the strongest in survivability. So I'd probably give it 8. Then I guess you could give the Mauler maybe 7.
7.
And then the Brawler, I think there's a lot more open hatches. Obviously, it has that kind of mode where you can switch up. I think Stephen mentioned it can kind of like ramp up and kind of become even faster. And there's a lot more moving parts. There's like a lot more stuff that's situated on the outside that can get easily damaged, I think, by comparison to the other two.
Also, it's a bit of a red flag that they put their reactive armor on the front, because they've got this, I believe it's reactive armor. I don't know if there's anything else. Oh, it is reactive armor.
Well,
so they put reactive armor on the front.
It definitely reacts. I mean, you can push a little button and it pops off.
Yeah. But that's
is a fair approximation of what a Chobham armor plate does. Like, it explodes outwards to kind of dissipate the energy of an incoming projectile. So it's almost like a force field, is in essence.
Yeah.
And so the toy approximation of that is a spring-loaded panel that will pop off. Are we assuming that its entire skin in universe is covered in similar reactive armor?
I'm going to say no, because firstly the toy itself has a very distinct look for its reactive armor, and they have that in the front, so that's what makes sense to me. Like, it's only in the front.
Yeah, that's the only place on the entire.
And it's only for that driver and commander, or driver and I don't even know what, maybe radar guy, combo guy, place to protect them. And I feel like the sides are kind of softer. Also, those treads are very exposed. Like, I know even on the MOBAT and the Mauler, like at least the Mauler's treads are a little bit more protected. And I feel like the MOBAT,
it's got a. I think both of them though.
MOBAT's got a side skirt.
Yeah, it's got the skirt.
Side skirt, but of the three, I think the Mauler has the best side skirt. It kind of it seems to protect at least the top third of the wheels. Yeah.
And to anyone screaming at their radio at the moment saying like, "Oh, the Mauler, it's got like the MOBAT's got a single occupant it's like peeking at the top." We're gonna disregard that for now and just say that the driver or commander can scooch down into the cupola.
Yeah. I think it's a combination of the toy as well as like what the expanded universe of what these things are. You can imagine more figures in there. Yes, we can't physically fit more in there, but it has been shown, especially in the comics, that there is not a lot of space, but you can fit more people in there. Like there is a
How
crew
do
of people.
you determine the brawler's survivability then? Because in every media appearance, those hatches are very much exposed, like they are on the toy.
Yeah, I think I actually think I give it a very low survivability. It's also a very finicky tank. I mean, let's just look at it as the most advanced thing in the real world. You hit those rocket launchers, that means that you've got an actuation system that like freezes up or jams. So then that becomes a soft point on the tank. It maybe causes other electrical issues inside the tank. You got
Look, there's a reason why your shells are like in the sort of the belly of a craft, like it's behind a lot of armor to avoid a kind of secondary explosion. If you hit a brawler on those surface to air missiles, it's gonna go up. So you're right, Paul. It's its own like worst enemy in terms of survivability by having all that external ordnance.
I mean, the best thing that I can imagine is it shoots so many bullets that will stop anything shooting at it. That's basically its defense is offense.
Also,
so I think its survivability is very low.
Survivability encompasses it being low profile and well camouflaged. In dead setting, your MOBAT looks the part, or your Mauler looks the part. In a jungle or swampy or woodland setting, the MOBAT
can
looks the
hide
part.
itself most effectively.
What environment is the Brawler meant to hide itself in? The moon.
A disco, I guess.
So yes, let's
dystopian
come down
future.
hard on the 90s in this category. I would give. I'm going to give the Mauler a score of 7. I'm going to give the MOBAT a score of 6, and I'm going to give the Brawler a score of 3.
Whoa.
Okay.
That is. Yeah. I'm probably going to stick with Paul. I think his numbers kind of work out for me, or the ones that I think I suggested it. I think I'd hope to think that the Brawler can kill what it sees, hopefully, before it has to worry about surviving too much.
I think
its firepower helps in a way to kind of mitigate some of its armor issues, but not by a lot. So I'm probably going to go with a 4 for survivability.
Right.
Also,
like my numbers. Sorry, Rob, if I wasn't clear. I'll give the MOBAT a 6 and the Mauler a 6.
Okay,
What's
interesting.
said for the Mauler's appearance? It's got a very much more sloped, low profile. I mean, it's a bigger tank, but it's still gets lower.
Yeah, I mean, like the MOBAT is what I suppose you could say. It's more modeled after a World War I tank.
It's like a Sherman,
kind of like an early tank.
I would say it's a they're both Cold War tanks, but whereas the MOBAT is the sort of 50s and 60s era, the Mauler is 70s or 80s era.
Yeah, and it feels like it looks like a modern tank as well. It's kind of like the genesis of what even modern tanks these days look like.
Yeah, I was going to say, it still looks modern by today's standards, actually.
Yeah.
At least
what do you think, Paul? Survivability for the Brawler? Are you?
Oh yeah, definitely 4.
Give it a 4.
Like, and also, I would be remiss if I didn't say this on the podcast, but I also feel like the psychological component of this tank, in terms of the crew, because the Mauler and the MOBAT psychologically feel safer, and that kind of improves a tank's survivability, I suppose, to a degree. With the
I think
Brawler,
that makes a big difference because you feel like you are encased, in armor. Like no matter what angle something's coming at you from, you will at least survive that initial blast and be able to get out of there.
Yep.
Well, with the Brawler, it feels like.
And also, like, my other issue with the Brawler is it's a lot of plates to spin, because if you think about it, it's like it's armor. Okay, it's got a long gun, it's got anti-air, it's got these machine guns. So you've got a crew who now has to who can now deal with everything. So they're being attacked. So they've got, they're being attacked because they got anti-air capability. So they're being attacked by air and ground units. So now it draws a lot more attention. So the crew are dealing with a lot more stress and a lot more panic. You've also got a commander who is quite far away from where they're sitting, where the rest of the crew's sitting. So you've got communication error.
Shout over the loud noise of the.
If you can. Exactly. I mean, tanks are very loud and like it gets hectic in those things, from what I understand. So I also feel like that also added to my survivability score, and that you've got a crew that's going to feel very disorganized and very panicked in that unit. I don't care how Joe they make this thing out to be.
I need to once again moderate my scores because I think the gulf between the Brawler and the Mauler and MOBAT needs to be wider. So sorry, Rob, can you put up my scores of the Mauler and MOBAT to MOBAT 8, Mauler 9?
Wow.
Yeah.
For survivability.
Okay, yeah, now we're talking.
Thank you. Moving on to the next category, crew complement. It's difficult to say, but if we're going off the comic books, MOBAT is either 3 or 4.
Yes, we have seen that in the comic books.
Mauler is 3 because it's sometimes depicted as having a turret that, a hatch on the top that you could emerge from. And then, once again, the Brawler also 3, but you can actually fit 3 on the Brawler.
Yes, you can actually physically fit 3.
Surely that's worth an extra point.
From a toy point of view, yes.
Yes.
As a toy, that's the one thing that makes the Brawler better than the MOBAT.
Yes, but if we're talking crew complement, we can't not mention the included drivers. So the MOBAT comes with Steeler.
Rolf Pulaski.
I mean, okay,
right? It is Rolf Pulaski, right?
Original 13.
Yeah.
That is great.
Yes, it is.
Well, Ralph W. Pulaski, but we won't hold against you. The MOBAT Mauler comes with heavy metal.
Yeah.
And the Brawler comes with
nobody.
So I think that probably that should be considered as well when we think about this. Like, so I think at least overall, it sounds like the Mauler can probably hold the most. Wait, no, we're saying the Brawler can. Is that right?
Brawler can actually hold 3.
Yeah.
And then 2 more on the back sill. Mauler can hold 2 and 2 more on sort of the sides, sort of foot platforms.
Yeah, you can put people on the
MOBAT, you can fit 1 very poorly into that top cupola, and there are no foot pegs anywhere else in the vehicle. So all the other figures would be just kind of, rattling off the top.
It really is a one-man show, the MOBAT, unfortunately, in toy form. Unless you take the batteries out and you shove them into the bottom of the MOBAT.
But I am going to give it a point for Steeler. So that gives me a point total of 2 for the MOBAT.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think up your own, man, Paul. This is me just being a wild man. I have my own internal metric going on here. So
I get you, bro.
I'll give the Mauler 3 because once again, 2 can fit inside, and then you've got heavy metal, and then I'll give the Brawler 3 as well because it's got 3 seats that you can actually fit figures. But it doesn't come with a driver.
Yes, that is a big thing. But hopefully by 1991, people own a lot of figures they can throw into this thing. Hopefully.
Actually, while we're on it, who would be your tank captain for this from the 90s, Joes?
They've got Captain Krimov, a.k.a. Red Star, in the turret. In the box art. I like that.
Yes.
I think he looks good as a tank commander.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense.
I think Big Ben got some face time.
I was going to say, Big Ben would be cool in this, yeah?
Heavy metal. Oh, heavy duty, sorry.
Heavy duty,
he's not his sort of DJ booth.
You could maybe even use the Mega Marines for this as well. It does feel very futuristic. So you could get gung-ho in there.
I do feel like this is a Mega Marines friendly vehicle.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. But yeah, I think definitely like for crew complement wise, yes, I think Steeler's cool, but he's not that interesting to me. Because he's an original 13 and he kind of looks essentially the same as everyone else, but he does come with a cooler helmet. I would probably agree with 2. I think that's fair enough. I think heavy metal is a fantastic figure. And I feel like you can plonk a lot of Joes onto the Mauler, and there's like a lot of free space there, especially kind of it makes you think of like, like World War II when you kind of see tons of dudes kind of like hanging out on the tanks, kind of like as you see them like driving down roads. So I'd probably give it a 4. I think I can fit a lot more figures onto the Mauler than on any of the other ones. And yeah, I'd agree with 3 for the Mauler Brawler.
Yeah, my scores are going to be the same as Rob's because the MOBAT sadly does suffer in that it's only got space for one figure, and that does kind of make it a bit of a bummer. Yeah,
it really does.
The Mauler is interesting because you've got the 2 spaces there in the front, so it is kind of cool to you got that idea. You can imagine you're sitting inside it. Plus, if you don't have toys for that, it still looks good. Pity about not having the 3rd hatch, but c'est la vie. And then the Brawler is actually like a 3 is a very nice score for the Brawler because it can literally only fit 3 people on. It can't even take hangers on, and you made a good point there, Rob.
Oh no, the Brawler can. The Brawler's got
can there at the back.
Back sill, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like that doesn't look comfortable at all.
Is that how you want to die?
No, okay. Then I'm gonna give myself a bonus point to the Brawler and the Mauler for having foot pegs. Give them 1 more for me, thanks.
1 more for Steve.
It's 4, and the Brawler gets 4.
Okay. Yeah. So we're pretty much even, like there.
Almost.
Okay.
Yeah, roundabouts.
Advanced systems. Now this is a bit nebulous, but let's talk about what each of these brings to the party. Did anyone have a chance to look over some blueprints? I know my computer is completely destroyed, so I'm and down in terms of research at the moment.
You're going blind.
So
I did earlier of the Mauler. Sorry, I need to keep these straight in my head. The Mauler having a sort of holography system for battle.
You did mention that.
Now, visibility with a tank is your main obstacle. When you're buttoned up, you are blind. You're using periscopes in the sort of the earliest tanks. So if the MOBAT has somehow, or the Mauler has somehow got a system for creating a digital or virtual battlefield inside the tank, wow, that's a huge advantage.
Yeah, because you can literally see what's going on out there without having to actually open a hatch at all. Yeah, that's definitely a huge advantage compared to any of the other 2. Although, I mean, with the Brawler, it has fantastic visibility with the guy sitting right on top.
I don't know if that would count as an advanced system, but okay, he's eyeballing the targets.
And nobody can hear him, so at least that's my opinion. Like, nobody can hear him.
Well, yeah. So on the blueprints, we can see point 22. It actually describes the holographic image display targeting system. So that there's definitely it's a part of the Mauler. I think that's probably the most advanced thing on it, I guess.
The MOBAT has some sophisticated stuff for 1982, I guess. It can submerge, which is a feature of a lot of tanks. Fine. So it can be underwater for a spell, and it shows that off in tanks for the memories. It's got a speaker system. You can
that's useful
to party your disco. How your party? What else? It's probably got all the sort of the cool imaging stuff. I mean, like Steeler's helmet has magnification equipment. Maybe it gives him like a head-up display.
Well, according to the blueprints, his helmet has infrared lens. It has a zoom control knob, and then a shutter release button. So it's essentially more like optics for when he's out.
So he has to
he's out of it.
He has to poke his head out to get the advantage of that helmet.
No, very much so. I think that probably the most advanced thing on the MOBAT. Yeah, it's just it's like whatever any tank can do, it can do. I think that's probably what it does. And then the Mauler, as we said, it's got that advantage of it can see without needing to actually leave the tank. And then the Brawler, I guess I guess some of the advanced systems probably would be the fact that it is able to launch surface-to-air missiles. And its reactive armor. Yes, it may only be at the front, but it's the only one out of them that has that.
Yeah.
I will give a score of 8. I'll give the Mauler.
Sorry, was that the Mauler or the Brawler?
The Brawler score of 8 from me. I'm happy with that. I'll give the Mauler a 7. I'll give the MOBAT a 5.
Yeah, you can't really go lower than that because it really does do what a tank is meant to do. And also, if you're interested, I think it's the sides of the Brawler. It has 20-inch thick armor casing.
Wow. Okay. And it's still able to do 90 miles per hour. Right. Good luck with that.
90 miles per hour for 1,000 miles.
1,100 miles. Good lord. Okay.
It's just gonna rattle itself. Stupid.
Fascinating.
I think.
I want to hear your thinking.
I think advanced systems. I think of the three, I'd probably agree that the Brawler has the most advanced, like overall. Like at least, like the other ones are very basic by comparison. Yes, being able to see the battlefield is exceptionally important. And that is a huge advantage. Yeah. Well, I'd agree with the MOBAT. I think it's bog standard. It's kind of like I don't think I'd give it lower than a 5 because it's a very straightforward tank. It does what a tank is meant to do. And it isn't very advanced at all, unfortunately. By comparison, the Mauler, so what does it have over the MOBAT? Essentially, it can see without seeing. And I guess, that is worth a bit more. Damn, I'm basically disagreeing with Steven at this point.
There's nothing wrong with that, my friend.
For me, oh, sorry, Rob, you're still busy. Sorry, man.
No, go for it. I don't have to finish before you.
Yeah, I want to jump in with this little bit of argument for the Brawler.
No, please,
There's a feature that the Mauler and the MOBAT have that the Brawler doesn't have. And it's quite a shocking feature considering their tanks. The Brawler can't turn its turret.
And I think you jumped the gun a little bit.
No. This is an advanced feature, right? Because like I feel like if you're going to be a tank, you should get the basics right first. You should nail down the basics. And not being able to turn your turret is kind of like stupid. So you can have like the best technology in the world, but if you can't turn your turret to shoot something, next to you, or if you can't track a target that way, you are always putting the tank in danger of like having to maneuver every time. So I feel like the Mauler,
you have to at this point make up your mind whether you're talking in universe or in terms of the toy.
I'm talking in universe because even if you look at this tank
in universe, it's depicted in issue 121 as being able to traverse its turret. Big Ben actually kind of calls that out. He's like, I can't turn the missile launchers, but I can engage them with the turret. I have to turn the whole tank to get the missile launchers zeroed on a target, but like the turret can move independently.
It's just that the physical structure of that turret doesn't look like it can turn in that space. That's
yes.
You would think so, unfortunately. But as Steven said, in universe, at least in the comics, as I'm showing now from issue 121, it is able to do that. And Steven essentially quoted verbatim.
Yeah.
These launchers don't traverse, having to aim the whole vehicle as it were. Now the turret, that's another story.
With a Big Ben accent, please.
You have to speak British.
Oh, these launchers don't traverse, have to aim the whole vehicle as it were. Now the turret does another. That's another story.
Dick Van Dyke would be proud.
Yes, dude. Well okay, fine. Then I rescind that because I just looked at the physicality of it and I was just like, okay, there's no way it can turn. But fine.
I think it is an important thing to hang a lantern on, but we'll get to that perhaps in fun section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you want it to bleed over into other categories, but for me, I'm afraid I'm going to nail the brawler in that section.
Nail in the ass.
Okay.
But
So
I think
then,
overall it
yeah.
has. Yeah, I'm gonna go Stephen. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I'm
enough.
gonna have to echo Steven's scores here as well. Although I do think the Mauler, like, sorry, I know I'm like, it seems like I'm clutching here, but the Mauler has one other advanced system that I really, really like, and it's not like a thing that shoots fireworks or anything cool like that, but it has got a very cool air filtration system on it. It's even
Ooh.
visible on the toy as well. So it's got a lot of like, it's got like the like turbines on it that look like they're designed to help keep the crew compartment sort of cool and free of
Yes.
like, and that is like, make no mistake, that's a big feature. That's the difference between people wanting to use a tank and not wanting to use a tank. And I feel like the Brawler has nothing like that, other than, you know, the windows
It's
being
open
open,
to the air. Exactly.
which means you're eating all the bugs, you know. Especially because you're going at like 90 miles per hour for 1,000 miles.
So, do you want to maybe put it on par with the Mauler?
I'd like to
take
put
a point down.
Yeah, I'd like to take. I actually want to take a point off the Brawler and make it 7, and like say that they're like sort of on par in that respect.
Fair enough.
Because just now that I think about it with the Mauler, it's like, and it's also just like, sorry to say, but it is a cool sculpt detail as well. I'm not sorry to say. I think it's a great sculpt detail.
Don't be sorry, Paul.
I mean, on the Mauler.
Don't be sorry. Don't do it. So now we get to special features. This is more like toy based. So what makes these toys different? So obviously the MOBAT. Stephen, what does the MOBAT do?
It has a forward gear, a reverse gear, and you can individuate the tracks by twisting the turret to the one side. You're just getting one track moving, so it turns. And then by twisting the turret to the other side, you get the opposite. So it steers like a tank. Amazing.
That is brilliant. And then we come to the Mauler, and it essentially does all of that, but more. Am I right?
Negative. It is slightly different. You don't get a steering system on the Mauler. The Mauler has 2 forward gears, and I think you can go in reverse. Oh, no, wait. You can turn it. It's been so long since I played with my Maulers back. It does have some side to side.
So because my thing is my experience with my Mauler is skewed by the fact that it's RC, that it's remote controlled.
Yeah. That is true. We have, thanks to Mauler, well, the man
Joe,
formerly known as Mauler Joe.
Yeah, or Expensive Enterprises. Yeah.
We have beautifully refurbished Maulers that can do so much more than the original Mauler could. It's almost unfair, actually, to the original toy.
So we have to be very careful.
I don't think it can go side to side. Sorry,
no, it can only go forwards, and I think, and backwards. So,
well, if you look backwards. If you look at the
blueprints,
at the instructions, so the blueprints for the Mauler, it has 2 forward speeds, and that's it. Actually,
yes,
it literally can only go forward and more forward. Although if you look at the back,
full forward,
it's go forward, and I think it can go left and right.
Yeah.
I can't believe I've completely forgotten. It's been so long since my feature worked.
Yeah, that's the issue.
That is the issue. Add this complexity to your toy, and there's a strong likelihood that it will fuck out on you. I bought,
it's gonna stop working,
at JoeCon 2018 for a crisp $100 bill, a Mauler. Didn't know if it worked. It hadn't been tested. The contacts looked clean. That much I did know. So Paul and I hoofed it to a dollar store,
like a dollar store,
battery, slapped it in, and saints be praised,
rolled it there on the streets.
Yeah, the Mauler
on the sidewalk.
It worked so well.
Oh, it was hot,
Flash forward to me getting back to Cape Town and eventually getting my Mauler back in hand, because I did leave it with Paul in Joburg like an idiot. I did a Mauler review for the channel. And in that review, was being used outdoors as it should be, on some terrain that had some kind of loose gravel. A stone must have kicked up into the wheel well, caused something to jump, some gear to stop meshing, and my Mauler never worked since. I've opened it up, I've reassembled it many times, trying to get everything. I can't. It's beyond my feeble mechanical skills. So a feature like that is only fun insofar as it doesn't break, and break it has on me, doing what I consider to be what it's meant to do.
Yeah, just functioning, going forward, or going forward to double fast. So it does appear you can turn. So if you look at the controls on the Mauler, but like it feels also like it goes. I don't see how you would actually very easily control this thing as it is in motion.
No, you're not meant to. Look, the Mauler is problematic. It's faster, so like and to it, it's possible. But it's not as easy as the MOBAT, which is a quick flick of the top turret.
Yeah, it's good.
Which on 2 examples of MOBATs that I've encountered, like it can sometimes sort of throw itself into a turn on its own, like its own vibration will kind of.
Yeah, it does its own thing. Yeah, that's coming back to my memory now. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say that as a special feature, it's nice to have, but where I'm really gonna dock it is in the fun factor.
Yes.
I'm gonna give, for its special features, I'll give the MOBAT a 6. Mauler's gonna rank high under special features because it's got engine covers and storage bins. Boy, oh boy, was it cool to like whip open the storage bins on my Mauler and find like accessory pack weapons that had been there since, I suppose, a child placed them in. Like, I
don't know if it was you or Joe, but when I got my Mauler, you guys also put something in one of those bins. So
yes, some 3D chains, I think.
Yes.
Lovely.
So that was very cool.
So I'm gonna give the Mauler an 8 for special features.
Wild.
Brawler.
Well, the Brawler, it has launchable rockets. The rockets do fire, so you can fire those off. The armor at the front, it really actually does react. You knock it and it will pop off. That's basically that's it.
I'm happy to give it a 7.
Yeah, I think it's fun. Isn't it that there's lots of stuff to do with it in universe, and you don't need batteries to be able to make it do those things.
Yeah, it's a great toy, actually.
Yeah, it's a great toy, and it's features that a kid can really get a kick out of. I think Steven's story of like how easily the Mauler kind of broke eventually kind of makes me feel like I wouldn't have so much fun with it. Like if I can only kind of roll it down a hallway or maybe on carpets and stuff. So I'd probably only give the Mauler 7. And I'd probably actually give them about the same 7. And I think I'll end up giving the Brawler 8. Because I think having little like play features like that is a lot more fun because you can do that without batteries. You can fire off little missiles and stuff anywhere you are. It does make it a lot easier. And why give them all on the MOBAT the same scores? Because essentially what they're doing is the same thing. They're kind of rolling forward. It's not a different play feature or special feature overall. Well, I don't know. Am I? I don't know.
It's tricky, man.
It is.
I add a point for the battery operated feature, but I deduct a point because it's fiddly.
Yeah, because battery operated is cool because there are. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but there are only 2 battery operated vehicles in the whole of the Joe line, and it's these 2 tanks.
The most effective, I'd say, battery operated vehicle, or battery operated like toy car, essentially, is the battle wagon. That thing rides really hard. round. It's quite a robust system. It's actually got two battery operated systems because the multiple missile launcher is also battery operated, so it spins around. Not the actual the drum, but like there's a device that flicks the missiles out that spins around, and that's great fun. But that is not in consideration here. Otherwise, it would totally win. Battle Wagon.
Oh, no, absolutely. Battle Wagon #1 all the way. Actually, I'm gonna change. I'm gonna change my Brawler to 6 because firing missiles is fun, but you will probably get bored of doing that eventually. I feel.
Wow. Okay. No, that's cool. That's cool.
Well, what do you think?
Okay, so for me, mine are going to be a little bit different from you guys. So MOBAT, I feel like it's a solid 5. Okay, and it's because I think it's because the motorized feature is actually well implemented, and it's awesome. But it's a motorized feature with a tank built over it, and wonderfully sculpted details, but like lots of great eye candy and stuff, but nothing to interact with. The Mauler for me gets an 8 because it's an improvement. It's technically an improvement over that play feature, but not really. But it has a lot of like as Steve mentioned earlier, all the removable panels. That's a huge thing for me on this vehicle, and being able to put 2 crew members in there at the same time. It's got a cool vibe to it. Actually, no. Let me drop that to a 7. I just realized something. Yeah. So the Mauler and the MOBAT both suffer from a really bad malady, which is you can't really move them when there aren't batteries in there. Like you.
Oh shit! Yeah.
You can't. Yeah, and that's kind of a bummer. And I also wanted to. Yeah.
Discussion falls more under fun for me, if I'm being honest.
Okay. I am saving something for the fun feature.
Ooh.
Okay, yeah, so let me...
Paul's got a trump card for fun.
I've got a trump card for fun. And then for the Brawler, I'm going to come in... Okay, this is not going to be too different from you guys, but I'm also going to come in at like... I'm going to say like 6, because I think this could actually... I think the features are fun, like, for it being a toy. And the fact that it can roll without batteries is also kind of cool. It's an independent thing. I definitely do like that. And I think I would get a lot of fun out of the Chobham armor.
Yeah, he just like chuck things at it and it kind of like does its own thing.
Yeah, because I mean, we love those Hot Wheels as kids, right? I mean, that was a great thing. And also, like, I know like spring-loaded missiles might be like passe for most people, but this is spring-loaded missiles, in my opinion. This is spring-loaded missiles done right. It's not just like a generic launcher. It's this cool-looking, over-designed monstrosity stuck to the tank, and you get to like pivot it with its spoiler, with its wing, and launch them. And like that's kind of a cool thing. That's a fun thing to do. So yeah,
it's also got a lock and fire mechanism. Sort of you push it up, it locks, similar to the General's mortar launcher. So it's not just a push button system. You kind of it's probably more effective, fires further as a result.
Yeah. No, I think I would have a lot of fun with this toy. As much as like, but I'm getting ahead of myself now. So that's the score I'd give it for its its special features.
Hell yeah.
I think it's
so next up, we're going to take an opportunity to judge the cover art, the box art.
Yay.
Which is probably going to be a lot of fun.
America. Sorry.
I don't know, guys. This is becoming a very strange moment of like self-reflection, because I really enjoy the 90s art.
I do too. I do too, and that's why I'm like, that's why I want us to celebrate this stuff, because I think,
Granted, the tank does have some strange dimensions, but it's placing the characters so much more prominently. Like you can clearly see Red Star, Heavy Duty. Is it sci-fi?
Sci-fi, yeah.
Yeah, it's sci-fi.
Yeah, man.
So
the MOBAT does something great, but it seems to be in retreat. Anyway, we'll talk about the tracks maybe. The Brawl, the Mauler is such a weird one. It's going away from the camera, very unheroic in that sense.
Yes, it is leaving, but it's leading. It's kind of like, where is it going to? You know, like
it's very
what
provocative.
are they going towards? You could say
showing
that.
Backside, which is not perhaps the most. It's the most detailed. Maybe that's what they wanted to show.
Yeah.
But it's not the most, it's not the most like iconic pose you could put it in on the packaging.
Whereas the MOBAT is pure iconography. That's sort of 3/4 towards us or moving past us.
Yeah, this is what you wanted the Mauler to do as well. They should have just done this for the Mauler too.
I like on the Mauler's white box, on one of its red tags, you got like 3/4 inch view of it. It's on the top of the box. I feel like that should have been turned into the color artwork. Like, I know that's very like standard fare for GI Joe. That one there, that photograph that you're showing on screen now, which is also a 3/4, but it's more of an isometric. I feel like that doesn't give us the best silhouette. But if you go one more down to the white box part of the art, I really love that angle for the tank. I think it gives a good silhouette. You squinted it. If you squinted it,
see the drivers there too.
You see a lot. Yeah.
But that's essentially what the MOBAT is kind of doing, you know, in its cover art. So I'll tell you, the one thing I find weird about the Brawler is it feels, I don't know why, but I mean, I know they're this big, but the missile launchers feel like they are not a part of the Brawler. Does that make sense? It feels like they've been slapped on top of the artwork of the Brawler after the fact.
Yeah.
Like the perspective, there's something going on here that makes it feel like it's above the artwork, but not a part of the tank itself.
I think what's causing that is the thin white outline to create that separation. That's and it's definitely there. That's done as a technique to force it into the foreground.
Yes.
Yeah, it's quite clever. I think is it Doug Hart who did this artwork? I think it is.
That I'm not sure.
It looks like his style. I gotta give this artwork props, dudes. Like, firstly, like not to be all art reviewer on this and blah blah blah, but like the perspective from a technical point of view, this thing is executed exceptionally well. Like, perspective is beautiful, lighting and highlights are beautiful. Getting the different materials, carried across in an illustration, beautiful.
Yeah, and it's showing off everything it can do. It's
rock and roll, dude. I love this.
Going crazy. Like, it's showing every single thing it can possibly do. And once again, it's come back to the kind of like hero angle on it that the MOBAT has.
Yeah. Can those side guns swing out on the Brawler?
On the Brawler, do we think?
I think they can.
Yes, they can actually. I think you can see it in the details here. You can kind of see they have swiveled them slightly to the side.
So I initially criticized this Brawler artwork for like messing with the proportions of the tank, but no, it is a chunky tall boy. It is absolutely what this art is presenting. So if this is Doug Hart or whoever was the artist responsible for it, they did a bang up job of rendering this weird thing.
Yeah, it's wild how well they did in presenting it.
And this was probably done with like gouache or with markers or with a bit of both. And I'm really blown away by the. In fact, I can say this about most of the 90s box arts, but most of GI Joe's box art. But the artistic, like the technical artistry on these boxes is mind blowing and actually a little intimidating, actually, and inspiring at the same time. Yeah, that's a lot of I words. But, like, box art for me for Brawler, straight up, for me personally, 10 out of 10. I love the ridiculousness of everything firing and it's just so 90s. It's extremely
brilliant. I'm loving it.
The MOBAT and Mauler are quite provocative. I find the Mauler's box art to be a bit demure and like, oh
yeah, it's kind of like, I'll show you my bum.
Tank ass.
Look, Paul, I mean, as an artist, like Mauler and MOBAT are beautiful.
Oh, they are.
Like the artistry of them, they're perfection. The 90s bombast is evident with the Brawler, but like the Mauler and MOBAT are just wonderfully executed paintings. Wouldn't you agree?
Lucas. Oh, I agree. I'm gonna give them all 10. Actually, sorry.
Well, there we go.
They're beautiful. I love the one thing that, like, okay, and this is not going to lose the Brawler any points, but the one thing I specifically love about the Mauler and MOBAT artworks compared to the Brawler is that they're very, like, I mean, I was joking when I said they're provocative and demure, but there is a romantic element to them. You know, the sort of the light reflecting on them. You feel like this is in the midst of like some kind of sunset battle. You know, you've got that feeling. It's got that, it's like a freeze frame from a battle kind of feeling. It's nice. Whereas the Brawler just loses a little bit of that romantic side of it, or a little bit of that romance is lost on the Brawler artwork. But
this is a toy. Yeah,
this is a toy. But also, what the Brawler loses out on being a little bit romantic, you know, like it makes up for in its technical achievement, which in some regards surpasses the MOBAT and Mauler artworks. If I have to be like hardcore, super technical from a commercial art point of view, you know. So.
Let's get down to the numbers then.
Yeah, Stephen.
Dun, dun, dun.
What's it going to be?
Those numbers.
I'm not going to speak to the technicalities at all, and just how these box arts make me feel. And absolutely, the MOBAT is a 10 every day.
I don't know what it is, but I know what I like.
The Brawler I'm going to do next, and that is a 7 because it's a very impressive artwork, but it's not the beauty of the MOBAT. And then the Mauler, I've never liked it because of that angle choice. It's just not
the bum shot. Yeah, it's not giving you excitement.
It's so well executed, and yet it's just destroyed by this.
Not a bad guy, huh?
So
I get you, man. I get you.
But I'm not going to be too unkind. I'm only going to separate it from the Brawler by a point and give it a 6.
Give it a 6. Yeah, I think of all of them, I think I like the MOBAT art the best. Because it's classic, it feels clean. I think it's probably the best of the 3. Mauler definitely technically is a fantastic artwork, so I'll probably give it a whole bunch more points. Then I'm going to give it an 8. And yeah, I agree with Stephen. Like the Mauler artwork is well drawn. But
sorry, just to clarify, the Brawler artwork is getting an 8.
Oh, the Brawler is getting 8.
That's what you said, yeah? No.
Yeah. I gave it an 8. Yes. Yeah.
I did.
Oh yeah, I keep doing the words. Yeah. So the Brawler gets an 8. The MOBAT gets a 10. And yeah, I agree with Stephen. It's just not a hero box art. You kind of have to like turn the box over, like Paul said, to kind of find the shots that are actually going to give you the excitement you want from you want to see before you even pick up the toy to play with it. So I probably agree with Stephen. I give it a 6.
Yeah. Just give my Brawler an 8. Sorry, that's
changed. Brawler 8. Oh, I think okay.
And Mauler is a 7. Did I say 7? I think so.
No, you said. Oh, you gave it 1 point less. Yes.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Let's not sweat the numbers. Excellent.
Whatever.
Excellent. Now our final and most
final category.
Fun.
Fun.
Or this is where you discuss whatever. What do you feel? What do you feel about these toys?
What's fun about them?
I think. Oh well, let's call it the Christmas tree experience. You've opened up this toy and you put batteries in it, and you get that 1 day or 4 days of like being completely enamored with the thing until the batteries run out. Like, so the Mauler and the MOBAT definitely have that. So let's start by giving them both a 5 in that respect, and then you sort of slowly realize that the MOBAT has only just got really fantastic details, and it can't move when the batteries die out, so it stays at a 5. But it's still kind of okay because you can kind of, I don't know, carry it along, you know, like a turtle, and be like, and the Mauler is like, you get the same experience, but you're playing it hard with like as a kid, you're playing with that thing hard, and then what happens is like you break the feature and then you get like really angry with it because you're like, oh, this was actually so much fun, and now I'm denied that fun because it's broken. But then when you've like given yourself maybe a few more days, you can reconcile by the fact you can reconcile with the toy because it has all those funny opening gimmicks and things like that. But again, you have to turtle and just carry it like a turtle everywhere, and you can put your Joes in, you can put like more Joes in, so it gets like a 6 to be fair. And then the Brawler, I just feel like the Brawler is just one of those things where I just think you end up having a lot more fun with that than you thought you would. And you just kind of like pulling that spoiler down, locking that mechanism, firing off the missiles at your like parents, siblings, never animals, but you did. Obviously. And you're just having all the fun that you can have, and then you're like shooting it with BB guns, to see the Chobam armor, or you're shooting it with another GI Joe vehicle to see the Chobam armor, and it's like it's exciting. So I think this is where the Brawler actually kind of gets good points. It comes in at a strong 8 in terms of the fun factor, and this is from somebody who's never touched one, in their lives before. I just look at that and I go,
looking at it, you're like,
yeah,
this is it
exactly. And yeah, like the turret can't turn, and it's got like these things that go against it, but like you've got two guys in the front there, and you're just having all of this imagined fun. And you got the little guns on the side that you're like twisting out and shooting people with until you break them. And at some point, you're going to like crack the thing, but you're just gonna have so much fun with it up until that point. And it probably really floats. Let's be fair, because of like how it's designed. Yeah, but anyway, that I would give it like a strong like 8. Yeah, what did I say? 7, 8, 8, 8.
8. I think you said 8. Yeah, so 5, 6, and 8. So Stephen, what fun have you had with the MOBAT? What?
Look, I am well aware of people online who love these battery features. They get a kick out of them almost daily. I see videos of like people's MOBATs and Maulers having races or going over obstacles. Clearly yours haven't broken on you. Well done. Keep up the good work. Mine did. It just reinforces the fact that the MOBAT, and more specifically in my case, the Mauler, are great on your desk or great on your shelf.
Like a good
down,
piece.
and just like Paul said, I love the analogy of like playing with a turtle or tortoise, having to pick it up and like move it.
With me.
It's absolutely landlocked. It is a static toy. It's the kind of thing that you can play on or around, but you don't play with. It's so sad. It's such a tease. We can't really, in fairness, start talking about remote control upgrades. Like, I happen to have a Mauler that can move forward, backwards, left and right via remote control. It's incredible. Thank you, Mauler Joe, or Extensive Joe. But that's not the stock standard factory model. Battery operated GI Joe vehicles are not fun. And the Brawler, for its ability to be pushed along the battlefield, is fun. I don't own one. That speaks volumes, I guess. But its turret doesn't turn. What is a tank without a turning turret? We've mentioned it already on this episode, but like that's got to put a big dent in its fun factor. As fun as those missiles are, it doesn't do the simple thing that a tank needs to do. That's drive and be able to independently target at the same time and fire. It is loaded with guns and can hold more people, so it's actually edging out the other two in the fun factor. I'm going to give the MOBAT a 3.
Wow.
It's a brick that you can't interact with. One figure can kind of awkwardly peer over the top. That is not fun. It's an impressively sculpted toy. We've spoken on that already. The motorized feature works, albeit very slowly. I mean, it is languid. It works better in reverse, actually, than forward.
Sorry.
The Mauler is marginally better. I'm going to give it a 4 for fun factor. You can fit 2 figures in. Awesome. But the battery operate, like, it's a It's a 2-figure base. I want to
Mm.
be able to push my toys across the carpet. And the Brawler, I'm going to give it a 6. Thank you, Robbie.
Yeah, because I feel like I agree with everything you guys have said. Like the MOBAT and Mauler feel more like they're good pieces. Like you have a little bit of fun with the electronics for a while, but it's not something that will last forever. And the way that we play with our toys, we want to be able to move them ourselves. We want to do stuff with them. We don't want them to just necessarily sit on a shelf looking good, manned by a couple of figures, because that's what they end up being. Is they're more like play sets rather than they are vehicles themselves.
The biggest tease, because in the case of the Mauler, it is a fabulously engineered toy. Like it's so well made. But
yeah, it's absolutely amazing, and
It's
it really
fun.
It makes it more frustrating, you know.
Yeah, knowing that the base version of it, unmodified, unchanged, unmodified, is just you can't do anything with it.
The Havoc is a piece of shit, okay, in terms of its build quality. But man, do I get
It's fun.
much more playtime out of it than the Mauler.
Yeah, it's a fun toy. Like, guys, I mean, it's almost like it's academic now on the GI Joburg podcast. But like, I was always like, whatever about a Havoc until I touched one, and then I was like, oh, this makes perfect sense.
I get it. Yeah, there's when a toy has more stuff to do, it really is a lot more fun to play with, which is why I have so much more fun with my, what's it called again? That airplane, that
Hurricane.
Hurricane. I have more fun with the Hurricane, you know, or even the Sky Striker, because you can change the wings. But because of the size of the Hurricane and it has the cool little wing feature, like there's something more to do in your hands, something to play with. You're not taking anything away from the Sky Striker. I probably go with Steven. I give MOBAT a 3, Mauler a 4, and I feel like I can see the potential of the Brawler. Like it functions as a normal, any other vehicle should. Will I have more fun with it than other vehicles? Probably not.
It may surprise you.
It may surprise me, but yeah, having had no experience with it, I'm probably going to end up giving it a 5, because once again, I don't own it, and that probably says something, towards my interest in the toys, or in my interest in it specifically. So where does this leave us, guys? Let's take a look at the final totals. So the MOBAT, its overall final total is 5.4. So I did round this off to 1 digit. So there's the overall total. That's a combination of all the scores all of us have given it. The Mauler ends up with 6.
Sorry, we should probably.
These are all out of 10. Yes, that's correct. Everything is out of 10. The Mauler's final score is 6.3, and the winner of this battle is the Brawler, actually, with a 6.8.
Unbelievable.
And
the
I think it's
vehicle that
also
was introduced in the comic book and died the very next issue.
Isn't that insane? And I mean, and breaking it down, so Steven's favorite, based on the scores we've given, is the Brawler. At 7. A close second would be the Mauler at 6.3, and at right at the back is the MOBAT at 5.3. For myself, once again, Brawler is the best at 6.8. And then the Mauler and the MOBAT are quite close, I think. I gave 5.9 for the Mauler. That's my overall score. And my score for MOBAT is 5.4. So Paul, he has a tied number 1 between the Mauler and the Brawler at 6.6. And and far away from those two, well, not too far away actually, is the MOBAT at 5.4. So his scores, that's his total scores.
Shot.
Interesting, isn't it?
And that does reflect. It is interesting because it reflects. But to me, that metric reflects how I am as a personality. Like, I love the Mauler's aesthetics, and I love the Brawler's playability.
Like playability.
and they're like
Yeah.
they are equal in my mind, but for different reasons. It's weird. So like I like that. This is a good this metric worked out well. This is great, Rob. Like
It
yeah.
is, of course, important to note that like these are vehicles that you guys didn't seek out yourselves.
Yes, that's the other thing. I didn't seek out any of these 3 vehicles. I think I've probably shown an interest in the Mauler. I'm sure I've said I think it's a really cool toy. I don't think I've ever mentioned the Brawler. The MOBAT. I mean, Stephen has had it. But yeah, it's a one-man show. You put one little dude in there, you push him around a little bit. Yeah, unfortunately, when it comes to pure tanks, I guess in the Joe line, there aren't many real winners. Actually, that's kind of why I think initially when Stephen kind of was like, "Oh, let's do armored vehicles," we had a lot more variation in what would have been on this list. There would have been a lot more fan favorites. I mean, I think we've ended up with the Havoc. I at some point I was even thinking the Mean Dog.
The Equalizer is another one.
Equalizer is another good one to add on there. But when it comes to pure tanks, these were, for us at least, the ones that were the purest representation of what a real
if you asked a kid to draw a tank,
does.
they would look something like
it
these.
would look like this. Yeah.
Yeah,
We really are
I
kids of the
understand
90s, I guess.
Disgusting.
Yeah, but I think it's also that we like also understand as we've gotten older. I think if we had done this when we were younger, I think we would have been so balls deep in like the Mauler for its realism and all that stuff. I think this would have been completely different. But I think because we're older and we appreciate the playability of some things more now than we did back then, I feel like these are the results we're going to get at this age. Guys, something I just want to like quote here. I can't share it on screen because it's just a mission to do so. But I love this about toys in the 80s specifically. So you got this disclaimer on the MOBAT box, and it states, important to assure proper power supply to the motor, gently bend silver battery contacts of battery box cover so they make firmer contact with batteries. 2 D-size alkaline batteries are recommended. Water is the natural enemy of all battery-operated toys. Do not play with your MOBAT in water, puddles, or wet mud. I love that. I love it so much because it's speaking to a person. And it's not just like, don't put it on water, don't do this, important, warning, warning in Spanish, warning in a different...
Stop,
please
go.
Yeah, exactly. I miss this. I miss this products talking to people like we're people. And I really hope some of the independent toy makers start learning from this again, start bringing this kind of thing back.
Yeah,
it matters.
Only I feel
warning
like
labels
dumbed down somewhat.
Oh,
They're
very
either
much so.
extremely high collector focus. I think like mainly like third-party transformers in China, that sort of thing. Or they're very dumbed down. There's no middle ground of like, we're gonna peddle this to kids, but we're gonna treat kids like grown-ups. Anyway, it's now your turn, dear listener, viewer, etc.
Yes.
Jump down in the comments if you feel like your favorite tank has been misrepresented, or if you feel like
Tell us
GI
we're
Joe
wrong.
point of these toys. Sing out, let us know. I fully will die on this hill about the battery operated thing really detracting from a toy and really hurting it, because I think if the Mauler could be pushed around, it would be the perfect GI Joe toy ever produced. Its build quality, its intricacy, the things it can do, like it nails the basics. It's got a great turret with great elevation, great 360-degree mobility. It's got the removable
Treads are cool.
to inside the tank. They have little view slits. The Mauler has so much to offer, and then it goes and sells itself out on a motorized feature, which it's out of step with my version of GI Joe and my way of play.
Yeah,
so it's
agreed,
on the shelf.
for sure.
It's immaculate. It's on the shelf.
That's from the man who's taken some absolutely beautiful shots of the MOBAT. I mean, of the Mauler and the MOBAT actually in action. So yeah, guys, don't take Steven's comments lightly. You know, he's actually made this thing sing on camera.
It is absurd to me that the Brawler has won this battle.
Isn't that crazy?
It's
as absurd as the Brawler is.
Have you ever seen the underside of the Brawler? It's embarrassing, man. Such
It's
an
empty.
indictment on how
Well,
far.
I think what kind of pushed it over, unfortunately, or is the inflation of stats of the 90s. I think if we were very fair in the facts of the toy of giving it higher scores based off the the comparison of stats. I think that's the only fair way of doing it. You can't just go like, oh, it's inflated, let's remove a couple of numbers off that. I mean, I guess, if you were to kind of adjust for inflation, or exaggeration of the 90s, I believe the Mauler probably would have come out on top. Because I think realistically, its stats are more realistically scaled. It is faster than the MOBAT, and there's realistic reasons why it is. While, yeah, the Brawler is like going to the fucking moon. It's
Which
so
is why I
amazing.
wanted to challenge the Brawler. That's why I challenged the Brawler as hard as I did.
Well, there we go. So
Even
Paul,
maybe
guys,
to-
Paul is fighting for you guys and for the supremacy of the Mauler.
Viva
In our
Mauler,
hearts.
viva!
It's Mauler number one. You know who else is in our hearts? These fantastic
Our
people.
Bug Force. Yeah, we love
Absolutely
you guys.
incredible
Thank
people.
you very much.
Been around for many years, and lots of new people have joined us over the years. We appreciate every single one of you. You keep the lights on. The lights are burning because you guys help us to keep them on. So,
and then
thank
just
you.
also just a shout out again to our new guys as well. Starting with our most recent, which is Stuart from Universal Toy Collector, and
Welcome.
Joe Rinkley and Brandon Skaggs. You guys have been our newest contributors, and we thank you.
Over on the YouTube
2025.
membership, I salute Debbie Cook for joining the elite level.
Rock and roll.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Debbie.
Yeah, welcome to
Thank
the
you
team.
so much. Hell yeah.
I looked back
cool.
over like 150. Well, I didn't look over all of them, but like I fell down the rabbit hole of watching old vlogs. There's a lot of content on there. It's an interesting time capsule for me because I'm like, yeah, I started doing this when Elliot was a baby. Now I've got
Wow.
they've
And it's a nice way of
sporadic-
kind of keeping track with yourself, because they are a lot more casual, a lot of the time. But they also do track like life events as well, which I think is quite cool, and cool play motions.
those pop up in there. It's such a delight. So yes, it's a very varied mixed bag, but every single week members on the YouTube channel are subjected to me doing
watch this.
watch this. A very sort of hastily cobbled together play motion, or a review, or a rating, or a discussion, or a thing, or a poll. So, if you want to chuck in a buck or an amount that you would not miss, consider becoming a channel member or a patron. Thank you.
Yeah.
Speaking of
punt over
this week, nice dude. Yeah, but speaking of, I didn't get a chance to do a vlog this week as well.
But Paul,
on Patreon, so.
it's got one
because I've actually taken
a
I've taken a page out of Steve's book there, more for the journaling side of things. I like the time capsule of it. Actually, I like how you put that, because I did it sort of started a little bit with the afterthoughts, and then I kind of spiraled out of it because it became a thing. But then the vlogs are great because sometimes I have thoughts after these, or I want to draw something or whatever. So, they're there if you guys want to.
But if you're here just
again,
for the podcast, we see you. We appreciate you. Thank you for joining the team. Thank you for subscribing if you did, or liking. Hey, hit down.
It's always good.
A moment of your time, but it makes an important difference to the channel if you hit the thumbs up. So thank you for that. Or leaving a comment. All of these metrics help the channel.
Thank you for joining us. Yeah, 382.
And we know that 382. It's an exciting weekend for a lot of you. That was meant to rhyme.
Joe Fest. Everyone enjoy it, please.
Yeah, so we hope you guys are checking this out over Joe Fest weekend when you get back to your hotel or whatever.
Yeah, we're keeping you company in your hotel room. Isn't that fun to think of?
Hey, yeah, or on your drive home. So that's pretty cool.
Driving home.
Yo,
Joe.
Berg. Come, Snake Eyes, shout out.
I agree with Snake Eyes. What a guy.